Pardon me? I like that.
Main lobsterman right there.
Yeah, you are. Everybody looks like a lobsterman. I want to thank people for coming. We're here to talk about ethanol. You know, I first heard about this when I was at a county fair up in Highgate. This was a couple of years ago, and I had a lot of Vermonters at the fair coming up and talking to me about the problem they were having with their small engines. And it was boats, it was equipment they were using around their house. And I was unaware, I knew about the ethanol controversy and the cost of it, but that's the first time I became aware of the real problems it was causing for folks with boat engines, with chainsaws. And then, to really drive the point home, I have this 25-year-old chainsaw that's worked perfectly, and then I couldn't start it anymore, and it was really a wreck. And I brought it in to have it fixed, and the mechanic who knows how to do anything with any kind of small equipment told me it was wrecked because of ethanol. And you know, he had to put an awful lot of effort into fixing it, so I do have my chainsaw back, but it cost real money to get it fixed. So I was hearing from everyday Vermonters about the damage that ethanol in gas was doing to their small equipment. So this really obviously is pretty alarming to any Vermonter who's trying to use a boat out on the lake, or is trying to use a chainsaw, trying to use a weed whacker. Any equipment that they use really is subject to real damage as a result of that ethanol. Now, in addition to that, this is a taxpayer ripoff. I mean, the ethanol industry has a deal like no other industry. It has 45-cent a gallon subsidy. It has a 54-cent per gallon tariff barrier. So we keep ethanol from out of the country from coming into the country. And it has a mandate that you have to put ethanol in gasoline. It's like the trifecta. And this comes at a cost to taxpayers of about $6 billion a year. So you have something that costs $6 billion a year to taxpayers, wrecks their small engines, and has a level of protection that no other industry in this country has. It also has significant impacts in our society. Hi. We'll wait here. How are you doing?
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Sure. It also has significant impacts on our society. You know, grain prices are going up, and that's really rugged on our dairy farmers. We've seen the price of milk going up some, and it's helping out from the plunge in prices. But when our farmers are having to pay more for grain and electricity, but grain especially, that's cutting into their margin and making it really tough. When you're shopping in any store, the cost of food is going up, and a significant contributor is the cost of grain. And all of that is being driven by federal tax policy that doesn't make any sense. So I've worked hard in Congress, and this is bipartisan, by the way, with John Sullivan, a Republican of Oklahoma, to try, A, to get rid of the ethanol subsidies. That's $6 billion we could save a year for the taxpayer. And two, to try to eliminate additional subsidies about installing pumps to spread ethanol around even more generously. So this is something that Vermonters have talked to me about a lot. They don't want their small engines to be wrecked. A lot of Vermonters have talked to me about it because they don't want to spend $6 billion of taxpayer money subsidizing an industry. They don't see why they should do that. And then a lot of farmers have talked to me about it because they see the direct impact on grain prices that they pay on the dairy farm as a result of subsidizing and protecting the ethanol industry. So the time for reform here is overdue. I've worked hard to eliminate these subsidies. I'm going to keep fighting it. We've got a huge budget battle in Washington. This is an area where we can save taxpayer money and do it on a bipartisan basis. The obstacle is a well-entrenched ethanol industry, but we've got to fight this fight.